grateful. But let's start with the World Cup because that was huge. The city of France is still dancing right now. Right? Like that's a party that's probably not going to stop until the end of the week. I'm not going to lie. I feel a little bit jealous. Like looking at how happy the people of France are that their team were able to go out there and win a World Cup. I can't even imagine how good that feels because you root for a team and that team wins you a title. That feels good. But when a team represents your whole country and they win you a World Cup in the definitive tournament of which nation is best at this sport, and again, it's maybe not as big here in the U.S. as it is in other parts of the world, but this is a big deal if you're France. It's a gigantic deal. France becomes just the 6th team to win more than one World Cup. It's a very hard thing to do, even for as long as the World Cup has been around. Not very many nations have done it, just 6. So France in there, France had far and away the most exciting team in the entire World Cup. It didn't look like it. They played a game against Australia where they just barely escaped. They beat them 2-1 on a Paul Pogba goal in like the 80th minute. I mean, they just barely escaped. And you thought maybe this was going to be a disappointing France team. But what you got was a really good squad. Paul Pogba was insane. Obviously, the young phenom Kylian Mbappe, he's 19 years old, and he was by far not just the player of France, but the player of the tournament. That's how good this young guy was. Man, you look at him at 19 years old, and he's doing all kinds of crazy things. The way he moves, he gets people completely flying out of their socks. They can't tell which direction he's going to go. That one goal that he had to put the game on ice for France, he fired a laser from 27 yards out. I mean, there isn't any good reason why a 19-year-old ought to be doing that stuff, except to say that this guy's brilliant. And maybe I'm being hyperbolic in all of this, but I think genius is the word that needs to start coming up when you start talking about Kylian Mbappe, because this guy is going to be a staple in soccer for a very, very long time. Right. And when I say a staple in soccer, I mean a guy that's reached such high levels in that world that even Americans know about them, because we don't watch the game internationally. I think we do a very good job of supporting our local clubs. Chattanoogan's do an incredible job of supporting Chattanooga FC. But in terms of paying attention to people on the world stage, your average American sports fan doesn't know most of the great soccer players out there. But we know Lionel Messi because he's brilliant, and we know Cristiano Ronaldo because he's fantastic. And those guys are legends. And I'm telling you, if you didn't catch the World Cup, and in particular that World Cup final against Croatia, and Croatia didn't have a chance, Kylian Mbappe is going to be on the stage at that level for a very, very long time. He's just 19 years old, and that is insane. He is the same age as my youngest brother. I don't even know how to put into context how alarmingly amazing that is to me, that this guy is as good as he is at the age that he's at already. That's crazy. So I'm impressed with him. Croatia didn't stand a chance. Croatia, I think they played 2 or 3 games in a row where they ended up going all the way to penalty kicks. So they have to play the whole game. Then they played all the extra time in all of those games. Then they had to win in penalty kicks. It was an unlikely run for Croatia to even reach the World Cup final. They should be proud. And I mean this in all honesty and sincerely. They should be proud of what they did and that they got there. They really should. My issue is, they were exhausted. And I don't think we got the best World Cup final that we could have gotten. Is all I'm going to say on that. So over the weekend as well, Chattanooga FC lost both the men's and the women's teams in the playoffs. And so Chattanooga, I mean, we're still looking for that elusive title. We're still looking for that crowning victory, because Chattanooga FC, the men's team, they've dominated that division for years, 7 years in a row, finishing top in that division. I thought this year was the year that they've had the most struggle because I think not that they got worse, but that the rest of that division is catching up to them. They've been the standard bearer. They still were this year, but unfortunately, they were not able to advance beyond the second round. And that's kind of how it crumbles on that one. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, you have to reflect on the season that happened and go, you had a great season. You have yet another talented squad. You had great plays and a lot of great moments, and I was there to see a lot of them. And I would say the same thing of the women's team. They lost in the WPSL semifinal, and they had a great season. And by far, their best season in the 5 years that they've been doing this. And there's a lot to build on there. I mean, this team, and what the thing that really made me really happy about Chattanooga FC, the women's team, really rising to the level that they did was I saw all the little girls that would go out there and would watch the Chattanooga FC women play. And you have to know that that means a lot, right? Like, you're inspiring young girls to go out there and play sports in a way that we as a society tend not to. You know, we it's not that we discourage women from sports. We just don't make as big a deal about women playing sports. And Chattanooga FC played an incredible season. They have a lot to be proud of. And the soccer was good. The soccer was fun and enjoyable to watch. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. So when the U.S. hosts the World Cup in 2026, I'm sure we'll have a blast. But you know what would also be a blast? If we won it. Right. I would prefer it if we won it. I myself am not hung up on just the mere hosting of the World Cup. I'd really enjoy this whole thing if we actually won the World Cup. But let's shift gears here to the NFL. Because Le'Veon Bell is probably not going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler after this season. It looks like Le'Veon Bell and the Pittsburgh Steelers have reached a breaking point, essentially, a breaking point of sorts. They were negotiating Le'Veon Bell's contract. It wasn't going well. The Steelers essentially saying to Le'Veon Bell, we don't think you're worth that much. Right? Like, the Steelers are trying to pay Le'Veon Bell what they believe the going rate of running backs to be. Running backs don't make as much as other skill position players, generally speaking, right? The quarterbacks make a good chunk of the money. Wide receivers, Julio Jones has a very big contract, even though, you know, he was working on getting that renegotiated. Wide receivers make a lot of money as well. Running backs are just starting to come back into prominence in the NFL. It's the forgotten position. It's the position that people, I think, overlook. Let's say that. I mean, I think that there was an idea that you could replace the running back position with anything, with any other position, right? Like, you could replace the running back position with any other running back. You could just, any running back will do. You get a guy that's quick and fits in a scheme. It doesn't matter if he's good. It doesn't matter if he's talented. Any running back will do. And that's silly. Can we just talk about how fundamentally silly that is? That's absurd. What do you mean any running back will do? That's actually not at all true. Now, the Steelers want to pay the position, right? Like, they don't want to pay the player. And it kind of stinks because they never really lowballed Ben Roethlisberger. They didn't lowball Antonio Brown, but they're going to lowball Le'Veon Bell. And for people out there who are saying, well, you signed the contract, you got to take what they give you. That's not how teams operate. A team, if you underperform your contract, will cut you. So if you're a player, it makes all the sense in the world if you outperform your contract to go out there and ask for more money. it's the logical thing to do. In fact, you'd be crazy to not to. But then the other aspect of this too is that Le'Veon Bell is a running back. Running backs after 30 start to see their production decline. So it makes sense if you're a running back under 30 years old to try and get your money while you can. And the Steelers are playing hardball like their window isn't closing. Ben Roethlisberger is closer to leaving than staying. How many prime years does he have left? Right? Like, you've got a lot of prime years left in Antonio Brown. But who's your quarterback of the future? Is it Joshua Dobbs? I don't know. Is it Mason Rudolph? I don't know. Like, I don't know that either of those guys gets you over the top. And it's a little bit absurd for them to somehow suggest that it doesn't matter who they have at running back. Le'Veon Bell is the best running back in the league. In fact, despite the fact that wide receivers make a ton of money, wide receivers, I think, are more replaceable than running backs. If you have a running back that is incredibly skilled, right? Like Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley's not replaceable. Like, Le'Veon Bell to me is not replaceable. I don't know about Leonard Fournette just yet, but the fact that when you get right at the goal line, you're pretty much guaranteed a touchdown with Leonard Fournette, that to me doesn't feel replaceable. Like, we're getting to the point where running backs are not replaceable anymore. Like the same thing we did with big men in the NBA. Like, we did a thing in the NBA where the big men, if you were tall and, you know, didn't trip over your own feet while you were walking around, you could get paid a lot of money. Like the Lakers overpaid Timofey Mozgov a few years back because Timofey Mozgov's 7 feet tall. That's the only skill that he has on a basketball court, being 7 feet tall. But now, look at the big men in the NBA. The skill is coming back to the position. Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns. The skills coming back. And I look at the running back position, I go, you can't just get a scheme guy. You need a guy that can do a lot of things. You need a guy that can block well. You need a guy that can make his own way when a play breaks down. You need a guy who can catch passes and become a part of your passing game. And you look at a lot of the running backs today, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing guys who can do that. You're seeing guys who are that. Todd Gurley, he's a part of the passing game. Le'Veon Bell can actually be a wide receiver. That's something that he could actually do. He could flex out. He could be a wide out for you. I mean, he gives you flexibility as a play caller. Not a whole bunch of guys have that. That's a luxury. And the Steelers are basically saying no to a luxury when their team can afford it. And I've never seen that before. He gives you something. You have a chance to beat the Patriots if you've got Le'Veon Bell. If you're the Steelers and you don't have Le'Veon Bell, I don't give you a chance. He's a guy that turns negative yardage into big plays. That's hard to come by. That's not something you should just take for granted, and it feels like the Steelers are taking it for granted. Le'Veon Bell was willing to hold out until halfway through the season for his money. And so the Steelers essentially have just doubled down on this. They're not going to pay him. Le'Veon Bell is not about to make this money. And to me, that's really sad, right? Like, that's really unfortunate because he is not just an incredible player. He's the best running back in the league. And again, I can't stress how much of a luxury that is. You have the best wide receiver in the league in Antonio Brown, and you have the best running back in the league in Le'Veon Bell, and you don't want to pay him? It's not like the Steelers' defense is the Steelers' defense of old. This is a defense that's good, but not great. Offensive line isn't great either. It's good. It's not great. But you have an elite quarterback. You have an elite running back. You have an elite wide receiver. How do you not keep that trio together for as long as humanly possible? That's a no-brainer. Every GM in the league would like to have the problem of having to pay Le'Veon Bell. Right? Like, because I root for the Redskins, and I've seen what happens when your team is in a position when you have to pay a guy and you're not even sure whether or not he's worth it. You're not even sure whether or not Kirk Cousins is worth the price of admission. You don't have that doubt with Le'Veon Bell. That guy's been producing since he stepped in the league. This is a no-brainer, and it's one of the only no-brainers in the NFL. The NFL doesn't give you a whole lot of no-brainers because you're looking at scheme, you're looking at fit. Is this guy right for the job? And you don't know. You don't know. But this is absurd. Like I have to figure out exactly what the Steelers have a plan at running back at. Because, I mean, if they don't have the ability to run the ball, and it's possible that they do come to some kind of agreement when Le'Veon Bell is a free agent at the end of next season. But there are a lot of teams that would love to overpay Le'Veon Bell, and I'm not talking about the stupid teams who would do it. All right, like the Browns would do it. The Redskins would do it. There are a bunch of teams that are poorly run. They do it. But I'm talking about contenders. If you feel like you're a contender and you're the Eagles, why wouldn't you do it? The Eagles have a ton of cap space. And I know they have Jay Ajayi, but Le'Veon Bell's an upgrade. Le'Veon Bell's an upgrade from every running back in this league. That's how good he is. Like, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it if you are the Rams? Why wouldn't you do it if you were like any team in the league is going to offer the money that the Steelers won't? And I understand trying to maximize your cap space, not overpaying certain guys. This is something that the Patriots do well. They don't overpay guys that don't deserve the money. But even the Patriots overpaid Gronk. Right? And I say overpay in as much as when Gronk is healthy, that's not overpaying him. He's worth every penny. But he's injured a lot. But even when he's injured a lot, it's still worth paying that guy a ton of money. Why? Because he's a game-changing player. And the Patriots don't pay anybody. The Patriots didn't pay Vince Wilfork. The Patriots didn't pay LeGarrette Blount. The Patriots traded Randy Moss. The Patriots don't pay anybody. The Patriots let Wes Welker walk, but they paid Gronk because they see that Gronk is a game-changing player. They don't do that. The Steelers have a game-changing player in Le'Veon Bell. And if you're going to not pay somebody, he's not the guy. I promise you, he's not the guy that you want to let walk. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, The Locker Room Show. Keon Rose filling in for Sam Jordan. Have more next.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Flash flooding swept away cars in downtown Chattanooga over the weekend. East 20th Street proved to be a major trouble spot along Cummings Highway, with the road turning into a river as the rains picked up. Motorists were seen floating down the road, only to be towed away later. Just remember to stick to the adage, turn around, don't drown. Trent Wishman, president of the Wishman Monuments, was indicted by a grand jury, charged with 7 counts of theft. Victims say they bought monuments from his company, but the goods were never delivered despite payment. One family member says their deceased relative is still in an unmarked grave. And Captain Jeff Keon with the Saudi Daisy PD telling WTVC a woman was shot and killed on Saturday afternoon. Her husband has been arrested. It reportedly happened in the middle of Dayton Pike in broad daylight. The road was closed for a short time so police could capture the crime scene. Val St. John for Nuga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Hi, David Toulis. I made the move, and I hope you will too. 1 o'clock every weekday afternoon, 1 till 3, Nuga Radio.
92.7, Chattanooga weather.
Lingering showers and thunder showers will gradually diminish through your nighttime. Overnight lows into the lower 70s. For Tuesday, some clouds, but only spotty showers, and they'll move off to the south and east. Highs of around 90 with mostly sunny, dry, and less humid weather expected for the midweek. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's. Home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily. Locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm Sorgene, 12 Chief Meteorologist, Match Report.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
I live, work, and play in Chattanooga, the scenic city. But when it comes to my next car, truck, or SUV, I'm Alabama bound. Fort Payne, Alabama, and Landers McClarty Ford. Big city selection of new and pre-owned vehicles with the small town price and friendly service. Now, I'm not knocking my hometown, but when it comes to my next ride, I only go to Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. Their selection is huge. Then if I can't find what I want, they'll find it for me with the same low price, same great service, and only a short drive away. And I can go online to look around before I leave the house. Got that next dream ride in your head yet? Yeah, you do. Get a head start at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Don't just dream it, find it at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. That's right, Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne, Alabama.
Nuga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with?
Eric.
You're our winner.
Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nuga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nuga Radio
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Do you hear that? That, my friend, is not what you're thinking. That is the new 2018 Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Yeah, Indian. Indian motorcycle is more than a bike. It's an experience, an American icon. And Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is the only place you'll find their new 2018 line. Are you ready to ride? Join the club. Go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign, 153 and Amnicola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Call 423-875-3600 if you're looking to expand your professional look of your business. Then consider the vast opportunities that are available when you locate your office with the Raines Group family. Remember, it's location, location, location. And the Raines Group has the location for your professional office. Check out the spaces for lease at Executive Business Park on the Lee Highway. Small or large, we will build to suit your needs with the Raines Group. Call 423-875-3600 for the business professionals with the Raines Group.
Chattanooga Paint and Decorating would like to remind you it's so hot out there. And guess what? Your deck is taking a beating. It's probably starting to show wear. If you're hosting friends, get your deck entertainment ready with a fresh coat of stain and protect it from heat, sun, and rain with a quality sealant. If you want to get to work, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating want to help you. For exterior paint, stains, sealants, and supplies, stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today on Hicks and Pike across from Valvoline or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7.
Nuga Radio. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Sam Jordan's Nuga Radio 92.7 Sports now.
A little bit of relief in Washington. Just a little bit. The reason why I say that, of course, is because the team that our nation's capital is represented by is terrible. The Nationals are terrible. I know this because I'm a Nationals fan and I watch their games. I watch a Nationals game a week, roughly, and it's bad. It's bad. I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat that. Bryce Harper is having a terrible year, in a contract year, no less. I don't think anybody saw that coming. The team has been mediocre. A guy like Daniel Murphy, who has been good as a National, hasn't been very good this season when he's been healthy. He's been injured, and when he's been healthy, he hasn't been good. And that, combined with just the fact that the bullpen absolutely stinks. And the Nationals, I thought, had a pretty strong pitching rotation, but they haven't gotten a whole lot out of Gio Gonzalez. So yeah, you look at it. I mean, they're wasting Max Scherzer. Strasburg is injured again. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But the All-Star game is going to be tomorrow night. The Home Run Derby is tonight, and you get a little bit of relief in Washington from all of the madness of this season. And I'm excited about the Home Run Derby because Bryce Harper is going to be in it. And Bryce Harper hasn't been in the Home Run Derby. And it's sort of tantamount to LeBron being in the slam dunk contest. LeBron never did the slam dunk contest. And I think we all would love to have seen it because LeBron is just crazy athletic. But also LeBron, as far as getting attention goes, doesn't need the slam dunk contest. And I thought that Bryce Harper behaved that same way. I'm not saying that Bryce Harper is the LeBron of baseball because he's not the best player in the game. That honor obviously would go to a guy like Mike Trout. Mike Trout is the best player in the game. And even a guy like Manny Machado, and we'll talk about Manny Machado in a second, but Manny Machado is playing better than Bryce this season. I would have said at the beginning of this season, I'd take Bryce over Manny. Right now, well, I'm not so sure about that one. Right? I think you take Manny Machado right now over Bryce Harper. So Bryce suddenly, if he made the All-Star game, I think he tweeted that a few weeks ago, is if I make the All-Star game, I will do the Home Run Derby, because I think suddenly Bryce is in need of the attention. It is a contract year, and if he does well in the Home Run Derby, I'm not saying this will get him another contract, but if he does well in the Home Run Derby, it might kickstart something for him. I know a lot of guys usually do worse after the Home Run Derby, but it can't get much worse for Bryce. Just can't. Like, this is bad. This is the doldrums. This is the pits of where that guy is at. It can't get much worse. You might as well participate in the Home Run Derby. How is Bryce Harper an all-star? Star power. Star power. Because, I mean, if I had to pick the best players in the major leagues right now, I wouldn't put Bryce Harper. But this isn't like a best thing. I just think with the All-Star game, it should be on some level, not the best people in the game, but the most entertaining people in the game. Who would you most like to see in the All-Star game? And on that level, Bryce Harper does deserve to be there, because Bryce Harper, even when he's no good, he's still one of the most interesting, intriguing guys in baseball. He's still one of the most fun guys in the entire sport, if not the most fun guy in the whole sport. Bryce Harper is entertaining as hell. And if that's going to be the case, then yeah, he's got to be there. My only issue is you almost feel guilty for a guy making the All-Star game on a fun factor basis, because the All-Star game determines home field advantage of the World Series. So it should be the best guys, right? Like, it really shouldn't be the most fun players. Because I always thought that that's how they should do the Pro Bowl too. Like, the Pro Bowl is like nobody touches, nobody tackles. You know, the Pro Bowl is kind of a wash. But if you put the most fun guys in the Pro Bowl. Not necessarily the best. Just the guys that are the most interesting, the most fun. You mic them up. You put them in positions where fans can actually be entertained by them. I think you'd find something really interesting there. I think you could. Major League Baseball has put themselves in this position where you want to put the most fun in the All-Star game, but also if you find yourself not in home field advantage at the World Series, and it's because you had the most fun guy instead of the best player, then I don't know how that helps you. Granted, the All-Star game in baseball is the best of the All-Star games. It is. I mean, I think baseball is the sport where it's more conducive to trying, even if it's an All-Star game. I actually don't think they need to have the World Series have home field advantage. I don't think players need an incentive to try. The reason why football players don't try is because football is a painful game. You don't want to try. This is vacation. The game's in Florida. For years, it was in Hawaii. You take your family. You want to have fun. There's no reason for you to go out there and really push yourself in this kind of environment. There's no reason to try. The NBA, why would you try? You still have an entire season to go afterwards. Basketball is a contact sport on some level, right? Like you will make contact with people who are trying to stop you, and that's going to, again, could result in injury or something incredibly painful. You don't want to do that. You don't want that problem. You don't need those problems if you are an NBA player. And also the night before, the weekend before, you spent the entire time partying. I mean, the All-Star weekend's been in Charlotte, and it's been in New Orleans, and it's been in Vegas. I mean, they've had it in a number of very fun cities. You go to NBA All-Star weekend if you're an NBA player to party. You're really not here for the game. And I think that there is some partying that will go on with the baseball All-Star game. But when you go up to take your at-bat, you don't have to try harder than usual. It's like you really want to beat this guy. I think the fact that baseball doesn't continuously ask for your effort makes it so that you don't necessarily need to. You don't necessarily need to exert energy constantly. So there's nothing to stop you from trying really hard when you need to exert energy. Baseball is the perfect sport to also have an All-Star game. Basketball, not so much. The NBA All-Star game stinks. The NFL, not so much. The Pro Bowl is even worse. The Pro Bowl might be the worst of the All-Star games. I enjoy Major League Baseball's All-Star game a ton. I've never had a complaint with it. Even the home run derby. I mean, they change it up, but the home run derby is more interesting than the slam dunk contest. The home run derby has bad years, yeah. But you know, we also have down years on Super Bowls. It's just tons of fun. I look forward to watching the home run derby. Bryce Harper's going to be in it. Javier Baez is going to be in it. Freddie Freeman is going to be an Atlanta Brave, so that's going to be fun. Freddie Freeman's going to be in it. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of reasons to watch the home run derby tonight as we kick off the All-Star week. I am a little confused as to how this is going to work in like fantasy baseball because my league has it so that you win the week. So all the games over the week, all of the stats, you can win the different statistical categories, and whoever's won the most categories wins the week. But if we're having the All-Star game, obviously that's not going to count to everything. So how do you win the week? I have no idea. Is it going to be a shortened week? Does next week count twice? Like, I don't know. It hasn't been properly explained to me. And I'm not going to lie, I am vaguely confused on how it is that works. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. The Locker Room Show with Sam Jordan, Keon Rose filling in for Sam while he is out of town. So the Lakers have gone and attempted to build around LeBron James, Rob Pelinka, the GM, has said that he believes, and this is weird to me, but just hang on a second. Rob Pelinka has said that he believes that the Lakers are going to be competing for all the starting spots, everyone except LeBron. And on the face of it, that sounds like a normal thing that a GM would say, except the Lakers have two young stars in Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, and they're both very good. Brandon Ingram is an elite scorer, or at least will be, I think. He can score in his sleep. And I'm really a big fan of Lonzo. He got off to a rough start at the beginning of last year. I'm not saying it was all daisies and rainbows, but Lonzo is incredibly gifted as a passer. He knows how to run an offense. He's a very refreshing point guard to watch, in as much as he's not Russell Westbrook. He's not John Wall. He's not Kyrie Irving. He doesn't need to pound the ball a bunch, to dribble a bunch in order to make himself useful in an offense. In fact, one or two dribbles and he passes it to the next best option. And using Lonzo off ball a lot might be really interesting to run the offense through him. But I'm interested in seeing what the Lakers are going to do here, because if they actually are interested in having a competition where Rajon Rondo can actually beat Lonzo Ball for the starting job, and where Lance Stevenson could actually beat Brandon Ingram for the starting job, I think they're doing themselves a disservice. The Lakers are better than people think this year. As much as we want to talk about how the Lakers can't contend for a title this year, they have LeBron, so anything's possible. But we know that winning a title is going to be very hard for this team. Whether they make it to a semifinal or to the Western Conference Finals or what have you, it's going to be a tough road for them. So why not just start Lonzo and start Ingram and let those guys develop? You don't want to use LeBron's prime years developing players, and I get that. But I also think at the same time, you have to look at it logically and say, if you're not set up for the future, when LeBron leaves, you will have nothing. LeBron James, his entire career, we look at what LeBron James is doing on the front end, where LeBron is going and how much better they get when they have him. And what we don't look at is LeBron James's career on the back end, which is what happens to a team when LeBron goes away. And Miami is a very well-run organization, and they've managed to hang in there, and they're a watchable franchise, and they make the playoffs in a post-LeBron James world for them. And that's good. But you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're the opposite. They're poorly run. Dan Gilbert is a terrible owner. And LeBron James leaves, and there's really nothing there. Like Colin Sexton, he's going to be really good. I think Cleveland is actually going to be worth watching, but Cleveland has been bad in years that they have not had LeBron James. They've been terrible. And if that's going to be the case, there's no guarantee that they get better from this. Right? There's no way. So I don't think that this is a perfect situation for them. I think that this is silly. I think that it's ridiculous for the Lakers to try and go into win now mode in a year in which they cannot win now. They can't win now. And I understand you get LeBron and your idea is, well, we're instantly going to be great. And I don't think that that's the case. LeBron James, I think, exerted himself last year. And I think you should let that guy take you as far as he can take you, but with the young players, let them get used to playing with him. Because when LeBron goes, if the team that you have left is Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, you still have a future. You can still go out there and get a third player and see if you can keep things going. If the future that you have, if the players that you have left when he goes are Rajon Rondo and Lance Stevenson and JaVale McGee, you have problems. Your team's toast. You're done. This can't be a real competition, right? What I'm hoping is, and what my belief is that Rob Pelinka is saying this for the sole purpose of putting the rookies on edge. If you tell them that they have to compete for their jobs, you might get the best out of them. But if this is not putting the rookies on edge, if Rob Pelinka is like actually serious, and Rob Pelinka has this face, he's got this face. I can't tell if he's actually serious. Like, I really can't tell. Is he joking? And he says stuff with a straight face, and you go, is that a deadpan delivery of a joke? Or is Rob Pelinka actually telling me right now? Is Rob Pelinka actually expecting me to believe that in some manner, shape, or form, his starting shooting guard is actually going to be Lance Stevenson, who hasn't been good in about 5 years? Just why on earth and how on earth is that going to work? And you've got Brandon Ingram. He's young. He's got potential. Players tend not to develop when they're in the shadow of LeBron James. I think that would be a downside of having him. Like, as great as LeBron is, two things happen when you get LeBron James. One, your coach is immediately in danger. And I don't care how good the coach is. Your coach is immediately in danger. There's a certain kind of coach that can coach LeBron James, and LeBron knows who it is. Right? Like David Blatt, I think David Blatt might actually have been a very good coach. I mean, it's not like they didn't get to the finals with him there. But LeBron didn't want him to be the coach. So David Blatt wasn't the coach. End of discussion. LeBron went to Miami, and the only reason why Eric Spoelstra kept his job is that Pat Riley didn't care. But LeBron didn't want Eric Spoelstra there either. And Luke Walton is a player's coach. I think Luke Walton and LeBron will probably get along, but that's not a guarantee. If LeBron doesn't want Luke there, Luke's gone. So when LeBron shows up to a team, one, your coach is automatically in danger. But two, young players have a tendency to not develop in the shadow of LeBron. He wants to play with veterans. He wants to play with guys who have been there before. And the older he gets, the more extreme that desire is, which I think is unfortunate because you need young people. You do. They have the energy, right? They have the potential. I know like a lot of businesses, they're annoyed when they have to hire millennials because millennials don't think like the generation before them, which is funny because if you think we're bad, there's a generation coming up after us. You ain't gonna like them. I can promise you. But I just, people don't like to hire millennials because they think the millennials think differently, behave differently, and it's such a sharp turn from the way things were. But you need those people. You need that sharp turn from the way things were. And you need the energy and you need the hunger and the drive to do better and to be great. You do. And you also need people who are young enough that when you retire, when you step away, they can keep the ball rolling on what you've built. You need all of those things. And it tends not to happen when you've got a team that's got LeBron James on it, especially at this point in his career, because LeBron's not trying to wait. LeBron knows how much time he's got left too. He works out like a fiend. He doesn't ever stop, but it doesn't matter how much you work out. Even the strongest of bodies in the NBA have had to stop, have had to slow down. And that's the same for LeBron. LeBron's going to be that too. But while he's got a chance, he wants to compete. The issue is, I think he forces things. I think he wants to compete so badly that whatever team he goes to, they end up being put in a position where they are sacrificing their future to compete right away, which honestly is why he's the perfect fit for the Lakers. The Lakers have never had a problem sacrificing their future on the altar of winning today. They've never had a problem with this. The Lakers love winning so much. I mean, this is the reason why they're just now coming out of being bad. Because they got Pau Gasol to add to Kobe Bryant and Lamar Odom and those Laker teams of, the late 2000s, basically. They got Pau Gasol and they sacrificed a bunch of draft picks. And they were terrible forever. And now it feels like they're doing it again, only it's not draft picks. It's two of the young potential stars that they have on that team, and Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio and NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. This is the Locker Room Show with Sam Jordan, except it's not Sam Jordan. I'm Keon Rose filling in, and you can listen to The Clutch with Keon Rose at the top of the hour. Next.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news.